Autism versus ADHD. Understanding the key differences. It's common to hear people confuse Autism Spectrum Disorder, ASD, and Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, ADHD. But while they share some overlapping traits, they're distinctly different conditions. Understanding the differences can help in better supporting those who are neurodivergent. In this breakdown, we'll discuss 5 key differences between ASD and ADHD, exploring how each condition affects the brain, thoughts, behaviors, and interactions. But before diving in, it's important to highlight that many people have both ASD and ADHD, though that's a topic for another time. Now, let's unpack the key differences starting with processing speed. 1. Processing time. Slow versus fast thinking. One of the most noticeable differences between individuals with autism and those with ADHD is how their brains process information. For someone with autism, processing often takes longer. The brain needs extra time to absorb and respond to information. This delay might not always be visible, but it's there. Someone with autism might need anywhere from a few seconds to days or even weeks to fully process a conversation or a situation. It's as if their thoughts are on a delay, and by the time they respond, the conversation may have already moved on, leaving them to catch up or dwell on what was said earlier. In contrast, ADHD typically involves fast, often rapid, thinking. The brain of someone with ADHD jumps quickly from one thought to the next. This can lead to interruptions or blurting out thoughts before they've had time to refine them. People with ADHD may have a hard time controlling their impulses, and their thoughts tend to bounce around, resulting in a scattered conversation style. For example, ADHD often shows itself in classroom discussions where students with ADHD might blurt out ideas, while those with autism might prefer to reflect and share their thoughts later, sometimes much later. 2. Impulsivity versus slow buildup. Impulsivity is another hallmark difference between ASD and ADHD. ADHD brains are characterized by snap decisions, impulsive actions, and quick reactions to the present moment. This impulsivity might manifest in actions like making an unplanned purchase, saying something inappropriate without realizing the impact, or acting on a feeling without considering the consequences. The ADHD brain doesn't wait for approval or even thought, it just reacts. Autistic individuals, on the other hand, often experience a slow buildup of emotions. They might not express what they feel immediately. Instead, the feelings build quietly inside them until they reach a point where they can no longer be contained. This might manifest as a sudden meltdown or shutdown after a prolonged period of stress or sensory overload. This slower buildup can sometimes be mistaken for a lack of emotion, but in reality, it reflects the challenge of processing and expressing emotions in real time. For instance, I personally struggled with understanding why I got in trouble as a child for something I thought was innocent. It wasn't until later in life that I understood my actions through the lens of autism. This delayed understanding is a common experience for many with ASD. 3 routines versus spontaneity. Another defining difference between ASD and ADHD is how individuals approach routines. Autistic individuals tend to thrive in predictable environments. Routines provide a sense of safety and comfort because they offer structure and consistency. When routines are disrupted, it can feel like the world is off balance. For example, even on weekends, many autistic individuals prefer to stick to a regular schedule, such as waking up at the same time and following similar routines. On the flip side, individuals with ADHD often resist routine. They seek novelty and thrive on unpredictability. The ADHD brain craves excitement and change, and when life becomes too predictable, it can feel suffocating. This need for spontaneity can lead to impulsive decisions, like taking an unplanned trip or making sudden life changes. In fact, ADHD brains are often fueled by dopamine, which is released when new, exciting experiences occur. This contrast can be particularly challenging for those who have both ASD and ADHD. They may experience an inner conflict between the need for structure and the desire for novelty, creating chaos in their daily lives. 4. Focus. Monotropic versus multitasking. Focus is a critical area where ASD and ADHD diverge. For those with autism, focus tends to be monotropic, meaning that when they are engaged in something, they are fully immersed in it. They experience tunnel vision and can be so absorbed in a task that they block out everything else. For example, if an autistic person is deep in a conversation, they may not hear background noise or interruptions, and they may get irritated when their focus is broken. This intense focus is beneficial when it's on the right task, but can be problematic when it interferes with daily responsibilities or social interactions. In contrast, people with ADH are more likely to engage in multitasking, bouncing between several tasks or thoughts at once. This constant switching can be exhausting, and often none of the tasks are completed efficiently. An ADHD person may start one project, get distracted by another, and yet another, without ever finishing the first. While they may seem more productive on the surface, the reality is that multitasking can prevent them from fully engaging with or completing anything. 5. Planners versus procrastinators. Planning and procrastination are also areas where ASD and ADHD show different patterns. People with autism often prefer to plan and structure their time. Planning provides comfort and certainty, and many individuals on the spectrum will plan ahead to avoid the stress of unexpected events. They often work best when they have a clear step-by-step plan laid out for them, and they can become distressed if that plan is interrupted. On the other hand, people with ADHD often struggle with planning and time management. They are more likely to procrastinate, waiting until the last minute to complete tasks. The pressure of a looming deadline may be what drives their focus, allowing them to work at full speed, often achieving impressive results despite starting late. However, this tendency can be stressful, and while it might work for some, it's not sustainable for everyone. Conclusion: recognizing the key differences. To sum it up, autism and ADHD are distinct neurodevelopmental conditions that affect how individuals process information, interact with the world, and manage their emotions. Autistic individuals tend to be more reflective, require routine, and focus deeply on one task at a time. In contrast, individuals with ADH are fast-paced, impulsive, and thrive on novelty, often juggling multiple tasks at once. Recognizing these differences is crucial in understanding how to best support individuals with ASD, ADHD, or both. As we continue to learn more about these conditions, it's essential to provide a supportive environment that accommodates each individual's unique needs, whether it's through tailored routines, understanding processing time, or creating a space where both focused and spontaneous moments are valued.